Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A number of my constituents have contacted me regarding this issue right now, and it's important that we address this series of troubling events that have not only shaken the foundations of our parliamentary democracy, but have also revealed a disturbing pattern of corruption within the Liberal government, highlighting a consistent disregard for the principles of transparency and accountability that are the bedrock of our democratic system. In 2018, going back that far, the SNC-Lavalin scandal is not just a tale of corporate misconduct, but a glaring example of political interference at the highest levels of our government. Under the leadership of this Prime Minister, the Liberal government attempted to undermine the rule of law for political gain. The heart of this scandal lies in the actions of the Prime Minister in his office, who exerted undue pressure on then Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould to intervene in the criminal prosecution of SNC-Lavalin. This engineering giant faced serious charges of fraud and corruption, yet the Prime Minister sought to offer them a deferred prosecution agreement, effectively allowing them to escape full accountability. This move was not only unethical, but also a blatant attempt to protect Liberal interests at the expense of justice. The fallout from this scandal was significant. It made Canada an ethical pariah in the eyes of its international peers. There are consequences, and it led to the resignation of key cabinet ministers. Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott, who could no longer stand by a government that prioritized political expediency over integrity. The Ethics Commissioner report was damning, concluding that the Prime Minister had indeed violated the Conflict of Interest Act by improperly pressuring the Attorney General. This is not the leadership Canadians deserve. It is our duty, as His Majesty's loyal opposition, to hold the Liberal government accountable and ensure that such abuses of power are never repeated. Next, the We Charity scandal was another example of the Liberal government's pattern of corruption. The Liberals awarded a $912 million contract to We Charity to administer a government program. It was later revealed that We Charity had close ties to the Prime Minister and his family, as well as former Finance Minister Bill Morneau. The controversy led to multiple parliamentary committee investigations and significant political fallout, including Morneau's resignation. The scandal damaged the public's trust again in the Liberal government and led to the calls for greater transparency and accountability in government contracting. Next, we turn to the incident involving the Winnipeg labs. Here, we witnessed a civil servant being called to the bar of the House for failing to produce documents. This extraordinary action highlighted the importance of parliamentary oversight and the need for civil servants to comply with requests for information. The subsequent election, unnecessarily called to thwart this initiative, further demonstrated the lengths to which some will go to avoid accountability. More recently, we have seen the case of GC Strategies, where the refusal to answer questions at committee led to the principal of the company being brought to the bar and questioned by Parliament. Despite attempts by some members, notably from the Liberal Party, to give this individual a pass due to the stress he said this had caused him, I'm sure all grifters were awaiting the outcome of that. This incident serves as a reminder that no individual or organization is above the scrutiny of this House.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
The Auditor General revealed that the development of the ArriveSCAM app initially estimated to cost around $80,000, ultimately ballooned to approximately $60 million. The exact final cost remains unclear due to poor record keeping, highlighting significant issues with financial management and transparency under these Liberals. And now, we are confronted with a $400 million scandal involving a conflict of interest uncovered by the Auditor General. This scandal revolves around a now-defunct foundation responsible for distributing federal funds for green technology projects. The Auditor General's report identified 186 conflicts of interest in contracts tied to the fund, with money allegedly funneled to companies in which board members had vested interests. Mr. Speaker, you ruled that the government had clearly not fully complied with an order from the House to provide documents related to the foundation. As a result, you, Mr. Speaker, demanded the production of these documents before any other business of the House can be undertaken. This decisive action underscores the seriousness of the allegations and the need for immediate transparency. The Auditor General of Canada has found that the Prime Minister turned Sustainable Development Technologies Canada into a slush fund for Liberal insiders. The Auditor General's findings are damning. $334 million, 82% of the funding approved by the board over a 5-year period was allocated to projects in which board members held a conflict of interest. An additional $59 million was given to projects outside the mandate of the foundation and broke contribution agreements and conflict of interest laws. The Auditor General made it clear that the blame for this scandal falls on the industry minister, who did not sufficiently monitor the contracts that were given to Liberal insiders. Where is the minister's accountability to this House? These events remind Canadians that Liberals cannot be trusted with the public purse. ArriveSCAM, SNC Lavalin, Winnipeg Labs, We Charity, ArriveSCAM, and now the SDTC Green Slush Fund. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars funneled to Liberals and their friends. Obstructing, refusing to cooperate, interference, manipulation, hallmarks of gangsters and Liberals. We are faced with a governing body that is holding on to the last shred of power, refusing to turn over the documents that you, Mr. Speaker, have instructed them to do. These events collectively paint a troubling picture of a system in need of reform. As representatives of the people, it is our duty to uphold these principles and to take decisive action when they are threatened. This is Parliament's role, and the flimsy excuse that it could violate charter rights is nonsense. Were that the actual case, this House would lose relevance. The country is going broke while Liberal insiders are stuffing taxpayers' funds into their pockets, and this government is doing all it can to ensure Canadians don't see that. I ask my colleagues in all parties if they really want Canadians to view their roles here as elected parliamentarians as irrelevant. If some puppet of the Department of Justice, at the request of the Prime Minister, made the parliamentarian job irrelevant, stand up and say so. No more.